Good morning, students. I, Vijaya, your teacher of English, welcome you all to Rishikul Online School. So, dear students, today I'm going to discuss with you all Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom from the book First Flight. So, come on, let's start. Here you can see given the description of the scene of the inauguration ceremony. The inauguration ceremony when Mr. Nelson Mandela, African National Congress, won election in South Africa. That was the day of 10 May 1994. Nelson Mandela described the scene of inauguration jubilantly. It took place on the bright and clear day, the 10th May of in Sandstone Amphitheatre. Many world leaders and great personalities were present there. He had gone there with his daughter Zinani. At first, Mr. de Klerk was sworn in as the second deputy president on the party. Then, the Thabo Mbeki as first deputy president, and after that, Mandela was sworn in. This ceremony was held to declare Nelson Mandela as the first black president of South Africa. Finally, the jets left off smoke of different colors of new South African flag. The day was symbolized by the playing of two national anthems. Nelson Mandela was overwhelmed. Sense of history. On the day of inaugural ceremony, the author was remembering. Here, the author is Nelson Mandela. He was remembering the days of past when his whole system of apartheid emerged. It resulted in inequality and inferior treatment of dark skinned people. They were deprived of their basic fundamental rights. As a result, one of the most one of the world's most brutal and inhuman society was born. This began even before he was born. The system created an atmosphere of extreme cruelty and injustice for a particular part of the community. Now, when he is in the eighth decade as a man, he, along with countless others, have changed this entire system that treats humans as humans irrespective of their color, caste, gender, or age. Mandela's speech on the day of inaugural ceremony. On the day of inaugural ceremony, Nelson Mandela was filled with a sense of history. He remembered how brave men sacrificed their lives for freedom, and he says that he felt like he was simply the sum of all those African patriots. He also recalls he also recalls how during the first decade of the 20th century, the white people patched up their differences and erected a system of racial discrimination against the black people of their own land. He says it was the harshest and most inhuman form of discrimination. Twin obligations. Mandela says, in life, every man has twin obligations obligations to his family, to his parents, to his wife and children, and he has an obligation to his people, his community, and his country. In a civil and human society, Each man is able to fulfill those obligations according to his own inclinations and abilities. But in a country like South Africa, it was almost impossible for a man of his birth and color to fulfill both of those obligations. In South Africa, a man of color who attempted to live as a human being was punished and isolated. In South Africa, a man who tried to fulfill his duty to his people was inevitably ripped from his family and his home and was forced to live a life apart, a twilight existence of secrecy and rebellion. Here, I'm going to discuss how the desire for the freedom of his people changed his life. The desire for the freedom of his people totally animated Mandela's life. He was transformed from a frightened young man to a bold one. The desire turned a law abiding attorney to a criminal. A family loving husband was turned into a man without a home, changed a life loving man into a monk. Mandela was no more virtuous as self sacrificing, but he could not even enjoy poor and limited freedom. He felt himself robbed when he came to know that his people were not free. Not only this, he felt the slavery of his people as the slavery of his own. It was this desire for freedom of his people to live their lives with dignity and self respect that changed his life. He was allowed freedom when he knew his people were not free. Freedom was indivisible. The chains on any one of his people were the chains on all of them. The chains on all his people were the chains on him also. He felt the pain and fought for them. That was Nelson Mandela. Thank you for today. We will meet soon in our next module. Till then, bye bye. Thank you.